Today, I want to talk about the LD selector that we will be having for the Etheria Restart global launch. And you only have to check in for 2 days to receive the selector in-game. To make this very short, if you don't have this character and you're not choosing her, then you are kind of throwing, especially for returning player as well as new player who are joining the game with the global launch hype. This character is S tier in every PvE part of the game and also very good for PvP as well. And the investment can be only skill 1. Okay, if you maxed out skill 2, it's going to be great as well, but you only need the skill 1 to get the speed and the assist attack with the other teammates to be all the time, and she is incredible. She has one of the highest base speed in the entire game. She buffed your entire team's speed, and she allowed your damage dealer to ultimate twice. So how does that work? She will start the fight with her skill 2 that buffs speed for the entire team, and the damage dealer that always get buffed by her will gain turn meter. After the damage dealer used the ultimate skill, her skill 3 usually reduce the cooldown to a point where they can ultimate again, so you get back-to-back big damage pretty much immediately. And thanks to her skill 1 and her special ability Twin Trick, you attack together with her, and because she is very fast, your damage dealer attack the boss all the time. When the game launched about 4 months ago, they called this game Lily Restart because you restart until you get Lily, or else you are kind of just get shit on by every single hardest boss in the game. And it was like partially true, not really, but if you get Lily, you play this game on a much easier difficulty in every single PvE content, and because she has such an crazy base speed, you can also use her in all the PvP as well. So she's probably one of the best investment to do in the early mid game for everybody out there. And if you already have her, then we can talk about the more interesting choices that are presented in the patch. First, we have Messiah. Do you want to pick this guy, and where is he used right now? So personally, I use Messiah in only one PvE content. That is going to be Dokyoki, because I refused to build a meta team, or more like I didn't have the option to build. So I had to kind of cook my own team pretty much. So my team has Messiah and Rosa on Revelation, and I use Tsukiyomi for the buff and cooldown reduction, so I can go Revelation in the second round very quickly. And that is pretty much my team. But you own Yeli or Ramoka, then you can do that with much less complicated setup like mine. But that is the only place where I use Messiah in PvE. And in PvP, it is a little bit harder to use this guy if you don't have like good investment. And because I didn't have the opportunity to invest in him, I haven't been really using him in PvP at all. And for the most part in PvP, I'm using Rosa because I have a max dupe Rosa. It is much easier to get her dupe copy, and I also invest skill up in her to farm Aurora and Dokyoki. So if you have like a high dupe and max skill Messiah, he is the best cleave damage dealer in the game for the cleave playstyle. So in RTA or Arena, it is pretty much protect the Messiah comp or buff the Messiah comp. You have things like Lily, Tsukiyomi, Freya in there to just literally buff this guy back to back for him to just keep spamming skill 3, and he can destroy everything because his damage is really insane. He ignore defense, he ignore passive, and pretty much he makes the cleave meta. The cleave meta is the Messiah meta, and he's really good. But only for endgame PvP and if you can afford to invest into him. Next up, we have Lilium. I think this is gonna be the best of both worlds DPS choice from the list. We have Messiah and Lilium. You can use her in both PvE and PvP. She's immune to CC and turn meter pushback. She does insane damage to the boss, and she does insane damage when they're about to die. And her stun is kind of underrated utility about her, because I've used this stun so many times to fully stun the entire enemy team, and I don't care how much resistance they have, because if you kill, then you're gonna have the stun guaranteed. So that is really strong. So I max skill this character 555. I have one dupe in her, and she is probably one of the most used character in my box at the moment as a damage dealer for bosses and PvP. So for PvP, I'm using like a speedy build for her. It's very fun when she outspeed the enemy DPS and I don't really think she's gonna be on a speed build, and one shot the Yeli or the Messiah on the other side. And for PvE, I use her in everything except for Dokyoki. where you have to attack multiple enemy. But most of the dungeon will have one big boss, and she's very, very good in there. And the newest shell dungeon also introduced the best one-shot shell. That's going to be the Tiger Yin shell. And with this one, she would chop down the boss very, very fast. She is ridiculous for PvE. So if you want like a best of both worlds, then you want to go with Lilium. Okay? Just saying. Masai is really good for PvP, but for PvE progression, not so much. How about Dokyoki? I also use Dokyoki a lot. Dokyoki is one of the best support in the game. I have quite a number of skill up into this character. The skill 1 mainly for speed. I think I'm gonna invest the last one sooner or later for the debuff cleansing. The skill 2 you don't have to invest, and the skill 3 you can want to get the cooldown reduction here. So she boosts your team turn, she allows your team to do more damage, she reduces your team cooldown, and for PvE you can run her on like Time Weave, Halloween. It's gonna be so much fun. I've seen my Dokyoki spam skill 3 back to back without Codex of Magic. It's pretty crazy. And then in PvP, you can also build this character as your major cleanser. So I'm using the Reaper step because Plume is very, very meta, and Plume will be forced to use skill AoE in the first turn, and when she misses a debuff on my triple rest build Dokyoki, then she will gain turn meter with Strive and Reaper Step and cleanse my entire team, boost my entire team bar. She is one of the reasons why I got Mythic in RTA. Very fun character. So another support that you can use in both PvE and PvP, very solid, and you can use her in like any content because she's a very generic support character that probably will have longevity in this game. Very good. A character that was really good in the early game but fell off late game for me personally. So Shadow Sania. She has very modest investment. Only skill 1, but you may not even need that, to be honest with you guys. So right now, she's more of like a quality of life character. In the early part of Etheria Restart, when the game was much harder than it is right now, you needed this character to attempt Nico Nana Inferno. She was the key to unlock this dungeon for many people, including me. And she was the key to deal with Terramaton Inferno back then as well. So back then, she was probably one of the top SSR for PvE. But as people farm better, and they start building more damage dealer and have better setup, they ditch the dot lifestyle and they go with the pure damage because you can't really dot anyone after Nico Nana, I think. Oh, you can dot Shadow Flame Hoyan. Very, very good there as well. But she's only there to like blow up the dot to make the run faster. You can also just do the raw damage on Shadow Flame Hoyan, and for the rest, you can just do raw damage. And she's not relevant in the other 2 model dungeon that is arguably the one that most people farm anyway. You farm Inferno Terramaton for like a little bit, and then you forget about him because he gives you the Fury Edge, and you farm a couple Fury Edge, and then you are done. So you don't really use this girl to farm on a daily basis a whole lot. However, she is incredible for this content where the stage is not immune to dot. Then blowing these things up are very, very fun and make it so much faster. Without dot, you have to spend so much time in here. And without dot, you have to spend so much time in between the big boss stage because the big boss will be immune to dot, but the middle stages, they are not immune to dot. So she is such a good quality of life character that make certain things very, very fast. You combine her with dot unit like Oboe and Fangus, and that is pretty much the combination for the dot meta. But she's definitely not a must-have by any means at this part of the game. Okay, so she's probably going to be the character that I would recommend you to not get unless she's the only missing character. Then you have to get her because you never know when they're going to buff dot meta in the future. Maybe. But if you have many options to choose, then you don't want to choose her. Now let's move on to the stuff that I don't have. First is going to be Hendrik. So this guy, he is like a semi DPS and debuffer. I would say he's more of a debuffer than a DPS, but you can build the Revelation Shell on him, and the skill 3 can do decent damage to start off the fight as well. But you kind of need accuracy to land the block because the anti-CC meta will have very high resistance on their healer and potentially their tank as well. So if you don't have accuracy, you're not going to land the strip, and if they're on bulwark, then you're kind of fucked. So if I own this guy, I'll just build him on like high accuracy and maybe with a bit of crit rate in between. I really want to just land my strip and my debuff and my wound and call it a day. Maybe build him on damage, but that is like a luxury depending on your gear, okay? Because not everyone can roll a ton of yellow, speed, swift rush, and builders or everyone else on Revelation with so many swift build. But I would say this guy is going to be like a speed run enabler because his debuff allow your team to do bigger damage. So right now, I think Plume is probably going to be the best strip for dungeon that require you to strip because she's strip into defense break. If you use Hendrik in the past, you have to provide another death break unit together with him. So usually that was going to be Dinah. But with Plume being so meta nowadays, most speed team will have Plume and just double DPS and call it a day because you need other utility in this different kind of dungeon. So Aurora, you can use Hendrik, and you can use Hendrik in the new dungeon as well. But Plume is just so good that if you happen to roll Plume, you can ignore Hendrik in PvE altogether and only use Hendrik in PvP. So in PvP, he's going to be a core part of either cleave or control comp because he set up the team, he blocked immunity from the enemy from buffing, and he also blocked the enemy from healing. Very good character, but I would say right now, he's mainly a PvP unit. Unless you don't have this character, then he will be in your Aurora team, in your Chloros team, that kind of thing, because you need to strip the immunity. And lastly is going to be Mio. Mio is an AoE control character that I don't have as well, that I really want because she manipulates turn meter and she freeze and heal block, which is very good. In this game, the healers are going absolutely insane, and you definitely need heal block if you want to control properly. As a control player, missing Hendrik and Mio feel like I'm playing control on hard mode. I'm kind of torn between these two characters. I'm not sure what to choose. I'm trying to get them via perma summon, but it's just impossible. So she's gonna be like a PvP character as well. You can definitely use her in PvE, but I feel like you don't have to. To be honest, you don't need this character for PvE. If you own Lily, that is all the speed buff you need, all the turn meter, all the cooldown reduction you really need, and you have other character like Oboe to provide the AoE stun for you. You don't have to pull her for PvE. She's another PvP character, but you don't have to play CC to use her. Unlike Hendrik, right? I feel like you have to play a certain style to play Hendrik, but if you are like a bruiser player, you draft Tiamat Rahul a whole lot, you can still run Mio in the last pick to pressure the enemy, because if they run a CC comp with shitty speed and you happen to have good speed, you can put it onto Mio, max out a skill 1 for the speed, and pressure the enemy into banning Mio. If not, they will be controlled by the skill 3 and the skill 2 combination, and they'll be dead immediately. So I think Mio is going to be a wider use case unit for you if you want a PvP character. And if you have every single thing, I would recommend to get a dupe for your DPS. So it's either Messiah or Lilium. This one really boils down to your preference. Which one you use more, you're going to get a dupe for that character. And that is pretty much my take on the LD Selector. I would say the most optimal starter setup if you join the game fresh is going to be Lily for your LD Selector. Somehow you pull Bloom and somehow you pull Yelly. You literally have speed buff, AoE death break, and a damage dealer you can use for every single PvE content in the game. And whatever else you get is going to be the cherry on top. But if you can do that and add in Freya, you're kind of set, okay? You're going to get Linglo for free after playing for 7 days. And that is all you're going to need for, I don't know, the first 3 weeks probably. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.